Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. Welcome back to my playthrough of LA Noire. I hope that you guys are enjoying this series. Let's continue from where we left off, and if you are, drop a like. It does help the series out a lot.
Of course we will look into it. Yes, I'm aware that it's an election year.
Scummy
Keep a hold
politicians,
your
of course.
hat, Council.
That's all they care about.
Now is not the time to lose your nerve. It would appear that someone has hocked a rose gold wedding ring, a matching engagement ring. Sound familiar?
Deirdre Muller.
Press the pawnbroker and see what you can find out. The address is 348 South Main Street. The Muller case goes before the grand jury next week, and the DA does not want any egg on his face. Then get out to the railroad depot on Santa Fe Avenue. We have another poor unfortunate found this morning beside a railroad line. 40-year-old white woman.
Right, Skipper.
I don't know what makes you...
Another body and Deirdre Muller's ring. The Emperor may soon have to come to terms with the fact that he's wearing no clothes.
Exactly. Did you get that book of riddles shoved up your ass? Is that what your old man paid college tuition for?
Oh, and let me actually change my my outfit too. I'm wearing the This is my favorite one. So basically, somebody was trying to pawn Deirdre Muller's ring. Ah, crap.
You've got to admit, this is looking odd.
Anyone could pawn a ring.
But if you take it along with all of the other indicators...
Cole, Hugo Moeller was identified by the school's groundkeeper. He's our guy.
Witnesses have fingered the wrong guy before.
He ran, for God's sakes.
And he always maintained he was set up.
The groundskeeper is there's actually a scene in the Muller case. I didn't show you guys this, I forgot about it, but basically if you fail the Hugo Muller interrogation, he walks out, and as he's actually walking out, what actually happens is the groundskeeper comes and says, "That's the guy I saw at the parking lot," and we'll point to him, and he starts running away. So apparently it's in canon that Hugo Muller was the one who got arrested, even though I arrested Eli. And about this case is, I took a look at a few things in this case because I didn't want to miss anything. Because in this case, there are a lot of things that you can miss. And I'll actually show you guys the things that you can miss. But the stuff that you can miss is not really necessarily evidence. It's more if the certain order that you go in. So if you go in the wrong order, there's certain things in this case that you will actually miss, which is actually kind of really annoying. And I really hate that about LA Noire, is that certain places that you go to, you will actually cancel out other places and you can't go there anymore. But we're gonna make sure to get everything in this. But anyways, we got a pawn shop out here, and about pawn shops is, I actually like pawn shops. I actually like them. I don't, a lot of people actually dislike them. They think that they're greedy, but it really depends on the pawn shop that you go to. Some pawn shops can be great, and you can find some pretty cheap things and some pretty good things in them as well. But about pawn shops, about them, is basically how a pawn shop works is pawn shops really sell anything. The only thing I think they don't sell is food, but really they'll sell anything: clothes, furniture, jewelry, electronics. In the US, a lot of pawn shops also sell guns. So pawn shops will really sell anything. But basically how a pawn shop works is it's places where people go to for a cash loan where they might not get approved at other places. And so what pawn shops use as collateral is they use a specific rare item. So somebody might bring in like a really rare old like Western gun, might want to pawn that. They might bring in like a really old piece of jewelry that's worth a lot of money. They might want to pawn that. And what happens is the pawn shop holds that as collateral, and they give them a loan that's a little bit less than what the item is worth, and that's basically so that they can get their money back in case the person doesn't pay them back. If the person pays back the loan entirely, they get the item that they pawned. They get that item back. If they don't pay off their loan, the pawn shop keeps it and then sells the item for a profit. And that's actually where pawn shops make most of their money from, is that specifically. Though people can also sell things at pawn shops, so they can sell things, and but a lot of times people don't come back for these things. But yeah, pawn shops will sell a lot of things. They'll buy a lot of things, so you don't even need to pawn stuff. If you actually wanna sell something, you can also sell that as well there. But pawn shops, you're not gonna get the best deal. Also, some pawn shops will be fair to you, but others will totally rip you off when going to them. But I would recommend these people, instead of like going to get like a loan for like some of this stuff, why don't you just sell the item? The only time I could see somebody pawning the item is if they really like the item and they want to get the item back, if they really care for the item. But if it's not something that you necessarily care for, but it's worth a bit of money, don't pawn it. Sell it, because you're gonna have to pay interest and all that on the loan. So just sell the item. Find somebody that will actually buy it. Don't sell it to a store, but sell it to somebody that actually wants the item, because somebody who wants the item is gonna pay way more than what a store is, because they're gonna want it. So that's what I would say about it. Is don't pawn it, just sell it. But pawn shops, what they're great for is that when you're looking for a specific electronic, you can negotiate. That's what I love about pawn shops, is that you can negotiate in pawn shops. Every other store you can't negotiate in. That's actually where I got my Xbox One, because when I was looking for an Xbox One, I found out that in my town there was a pawn shop that actually had it, and they had a whole set of like Xbox controllers and the Elite Series controller. And I basically told the guy at the pawn shop, I was like, if I buy the Xbox from you and I buy that controller on top of it, can you give me a deal if I buy this bundle together? And he basically worked out a deal. And that's basically what you do with pawn shops, is you negotiate. If there's like a few things that you want, and basically just tell the pawn shop guy, like, hey, if I buy these extra things on top of this, can you give me like some kind of deal? And
Detectives
chances
Phelps
are
and
they'll probably
Galloway,
give you a good deal.
LAPD. You have a rose gold wedding and engagement ring?
David Bremner. Am I gonna get something for this pledge? Gave that bum money, now you guys are gonna leave me short.
How much did you give him?
$50?
Try another number.
20?
Try 10. Feel lucky you're getting it.
I have the rings right here.
Also about pawn shops, is there's a stereotype out there that basically every single thing in a pawn shop, or the vast majority of the stuff, is stolen. That's not true, and the vast majority of pawn shops don't want to deal with anything in stolen stuff, because if a pawn shop is found to, here's the thing, if you purchase something that's stolen and you don't know, you cannot get arrested for it. So you can't. If you refuse to return the property when it's claimed to be stolen, then you're going to get arrested. But if you purchase something knowingly that it's stolen, then you can get arrested. But if you purchase something that you don't know is stolen, you can't get arrested. But it's really hard to prove whether a person knew that something was stolen or not when they were going to buy it. But basically, no pawn shop wants to deal in stolen stuff. It's just not worth the risk, and it's going to ruin their business. But pawn shops, basically, the vast majority of states in America, pawn shops have to keep a police record of every single thing. So anytime, basically, a pawn shop purchases something, typically it goes right into the police database. So the pawn shop's computers will typically be linked right with the police database's computers. And what happens is, if the police are like, if somebody has like their expensive watch stolen, right? The police are going to look through like the pawn shop databases in the area, and they're going to look for, a pawn shop that purchased watches recently, and they're going to check the description. They're going to go to pawn shop. If the item is actually in the store, the pawn shop has to return the item to the police. If the item is actually in the store, like with these rings, the police have the right to take them, and the police actually don't have to compensate the pawn shop owner, so they don't have to give him any kind of money for that. So the pawn shop owner is going to be out money. That's why pawn shop owners really they don't want to deal with stolen goods, because it's immoral, but also because it's going to kill their business. Because if they buy stolen stuff, especially if they buy something expensive that's stolen, they will the police will take that and they won't get any kind of money back. Though pawn shop owners, they can probably sue the person, so the person that sold them the item, they can probably sue them, but then they got to go to court. And if it's like something like rings or like jewelry, and it was like a couple $100, it's not worth going to court and going through that entire process to get your money back from some idiot that sold you stolen stuff. But basically, that's how police catch a lot of criminals that steal stuff, is they basically just check the police database on a lot of the items. But the thing I will say is, the smarter criminals typically are not going to sell stolen stuff at pawn shops. They're going to sell stuff at a fence Basically, a fence is like an underground, like, you know, place that will deals in stolen goods specifically, or they will sell it on Craigslist. Craigslist is typically is a massive problem for purchasing stolen stuff, because Craigslist, anybody can make an account. Facebook, I guess people can sell stolen stuff too, but you have to make an account with your name. Craigslist is people, you know, can really post anything and they can sell it. And what happens is if somebody's selling something stolen, they can just tell the police, oh, I didn't know it was stolen. I got it from somebody else. And then it's very hard for the police to prove that the item was actually stolen or not. But that's, I hope you guys don't mind my little commentary here. I'm just trying to explain the backstory on, like, stolen goods in pawn shops.
What's this mark here?
Maker's mark. Usually traceable. That one came from Hartfield's Jewelry down on Broadway.
Thanks for the tip.
I actually don't know that much about jewelry. The only thing I know about jewelry is I know that that if to tell like a real diamond and a fake diamond apart is that real diamonds are actually kind of messy. They're kind of like crooked. If you look at the inside of it, like, it's not even. But fake diamonds are going to be very even typically. So the patterns are just going to be even in them. I know that.
Does this mark mean anything?
Hallmark. Gives you an idea of the quality.
Yeah, 22 karat. Okay.
What have you got on the guy who brought these in?
Goes by the name of Percy B. Shelley. Gave an address. 15 Poland Street, London, Tulare County.
Can you give us a description of the man who pawned
Yeah.
these rings?
Not sure. Medium height, medium build, dark hair, I think. Sorry. He just had one of those forgettable faces.
We'll be in touch, Mr. Bremner.
Did you see the address that he gave? 15 Poland Street, London? Like that? That type of address? And that's gonna be a fake address. But, yeah, the pawn shop owner is out right now. And here's the thing, the pawn shop owner probably does not recognize him because the amount of customers that he deals with on a daily basis, he's probably not gonna remember him.
We have a problem.
We could have the local troopers check out the Tulare County address.
The address is bogus. Perp is having fun with us. The guy who's been sending the Dahlia letters is also the guy who pawned these rings.
How do you figure that one?
Percy Bysshe Shelley wrote the poem that came with the Dahlia letter. If the Dahlia letters are genuine, then the man who killed Elizabeth Short may have also killed Deirdre Mullen.
And how do we prove that, Phelps? Skipper ain't gonna like this one bit.
This is
We're
what
gonna have to
honestly...
rely on this guy tripping up on his own vanity.
This is what pisses me off about Rusty, is Rusty is not necessarily like a corrupt cop, but he just doesn't want to do like the work, the investigative work to get to the bottom of things. That's what I don't like about him. And here's the thing. Back then, it was actually a lot easier to fake your addresses. Today, you can actually just go on like Google Earth and just look up an address really quick. And actually, you can actually see who lives there, the names of the people. So back then, it was very easy to fake an address. Today, not so much.
You boys ready? Follow me.
We should keep this development with the rings under our hat until we speak with the captain.
We're all on the same team, Rusty.
Chain of command, Phelps. The skipper will decide who needs to know. Got it?
I get it, Rusty. I just don't like it. Hard, isn't it?
Yeah. I look after all the rail depots.
What have you got?
Nelson Gaines called it in. I came down here to make sure him and the other guy, Jamison, stuck around.
Jamison found the body?
Something like that. Guy makes me sick.
We'll talk to the coroner.
Jamison, I
Keep an
remember
eye
him.
on
He's
both of them.
extremely creepy. You see this right here? This is actually realistic. this is crime scene investigators. This actually happens in real life too. These guys will basically go around crime scenes and they take a minimum of 2 pictures of each piece of evidence. So wherever they find the specific piece of evidence, they will take minimum of 2 pictures of it, sometimes even more. But it's minimum typically 2 pictures.
What have we got here?
White female, approximately 40 years of age, lipstick smudges on the face, but no writing, at least nothing legible. A blunt force trauma to the temple, nose, and eye regions. Ligature marks point to the probable cause of death being strangulation.
Any idea of the time of death?
From her temperature, after midnight would be my guess.
The blood splatter. He was killed right next to this train.
Blood splatter on the carriage.
Here's the thing about blood splatters. Blood splatters can actually tell you exactly, typically what type of weapon was used. This is a blunt instrument that was used. This was not a sharp object that was used for this. So this was some kind of, bat or, metallic object pipe, possibly, that had done this. But basically, yeah, stab wounds are going to be a lot different. Stab wounds are going to be a lot more bloody, and they're going to be a lot more all over the place. But also another thing is, using blood splatter, you can also tell how close somebody was shot at, the distance they were shot at. Because if they're actually shot at a farther distance, and they're actually shot at closer distance, the blood splatter is different. If they're shot at really close distance, like point blank, we're talking like 2-3 feet, right in front of somebody, like somebody shoots somebody that close to them, the blood is actually gonna be high velocity blood splatter, where it's gonna be like across. It's gonna be like these small droplets that are basically gonna go, they're gonna be leaving like a huge mark, going across. It's not gonna be necessarily that bloody, but it's gonna be like, the spots will be pretty big. It'll be a pretty big, the size of it, I would say. The size of the entire thing will be, not necessarily a lot of blood, but basically, just look it up on Google if I'm confusing anybody. High velocity blood splatter, you'll notice what I mean. You'll see these like dots that'll basically just spread out. But that's basically to tell how the distance somebody got shot at, because bullets lose velocity over time, and when actually bullets hit something, they actually lose velocity as well. Okay, take a look at the body. I don't have to censor this again, too.
Smell?
Very good. There is the usual evacuation smell, but it appears she's been living rough for quite some time.
Very strong smell of alcohol.
Well, the autopsy will tell, but I would assume that she was inebriated.
Another missing
ring.
It certainly seems I've been swabbing a lot of bare fingers recently.
Can you be more exact about the time of death?
No later than 2 a.m. The state the body was in, a 1 or 2 hour window is the best I can do.
Let's take a look at this first. Another bar.
Maybe someone had
Mentioned
mentioned
bar, corner at 9th and Main. And also, this is why it's important that never go to the bar by yourself. Don't go. I don't recommend anybody drink. I don't drink myself, but if you're gonna go to the bar, go with a friend or a family member. You know, never go by yourself. You know, don't ever drink and drive, but it's not just about not drinking and driving. It's about, if you go to the bar and you get drunk, even if you're not completely drunk, you're gonna be a little bit, impaired. And so you're not gonna be necessarily aware of your surroundings completely. So it's, even if you're like walking to the bar, you're not driving, don't go by yourself. Because if you're gonna be impaired, other people can take advantage of you. And so that's, this is basically the situation here with the serial killer.
This is a chit for personal items, not booze. It's an angle worth investigating.
This is weird. You have a liquor store thing, but it's saying like different things. 2 large suitcase, small suitcase, bedroll, pillow, plain bed sheet, 3 photo frames, hairbrush, bowling pin, statuette, makeup, and clothes. Yeah. So remember what I said is, it's not good to go to any place by yourself, but specifically not a bar. Don't drink and drive, but it's not just about not drinking and driving. It's just, even if you have a safe way to get home, like a taxi or something like that, it's still not good to go by yourself, especially at night, because there's a lot of stuff that, a lot of bad people could take advantage of you. And all of these women, if you notice, all of them have all been at bars late at night. That's how they got targeted. 2122 St. David Street, 11 Bridgeport, Connecticut. This is far, very far away from LA, on the other side of the country. I'm gonna read this. Dear Evelyn, I hope that this letter finds you in a better way than when we last parted. Bitter words were exchanged. You had taken too much liquor, and we both know what that makes you become. But I am not writing to harass and accuse. I'm writing to apologize. I was heartbroken seeing what had become of my little girl and what she is doing to herself. You are destroying your own body and your soul with liquor, Evelyn, and it's harder for me to watch that than you can imagine. But only God Almighty above us has the right to judge, and so I beg your loneliness. I've been in contact with a sanitarium here in Connecticut. Sanitarium. I think that's like, she needs a rehab place here in Connecticut on your behalf. They say your condition is an illness, Evelyn, and that it can be treated. You only need to check yourself in. It will not... It's been turned off here.
We could go over to the lot and see what they know about it.
1941.
That's going to be difficult, Cole. Keystone Studio lot closed back in 41.
And also, about this writing, this is cursive, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. About this. When I was in school, middle school, they taught us cursive specifically, but they didn't keep teaching us it. They didn't teach us in high school, and specifically, not even in college. I didn't even learn cursive again in college, and so when I see handwriting like this, I can read it, but I can't write like this. So I will be honest with you guys, I could not write like this. I couldn't write cursive. I can't. But I can read and write print, no problem, but cursive, it's just because they just didn't teach me it in school. People don't really write like that anymore, and anyways, you know, everybody types things up on computers and stuff like that, but back then people did read, did write in cursive. So cursive is gonna become something over time that the vast majority of people are not gonna know. Like, the next generation are probably not gonna know cursive at all. Zero. Like, this generation still knows cursive a little bit, but next generation is probably not gonna know it at all.
What are you thinking, Ray?
The city keeps tossing us dead bodies. We're just running to catch up.
Okay. This scumbag, yeah. Remember this.
Detective Phelps, LAPD homicide.
John Ferdinand Jamison.
We need you to answer some questions, John.
If you don't mind, I prefer Ferdinand.
Don't push your luck, knucklehead.
What were you doing to the body, Ferdinand?
Are you sure you won't be upset?
Try me, Ferdinand.
I was kissing her. It's not against the law.
Shut up.
There's no law against it.
Take your beating like a man.
Turn out your pockets, Ferdinand.
Yeah, this is looking really bad for you.
Classic Carmine. Is this yours, Ferdinand?
No. I found it near her purse. I thought she could use some lipstick.
Rusty, stop! Don't hit him.
Rusty was gonna hit him again. Pacific Electric rail yard employee, potential suspicious witness, interference with evidence. He looks pretty calm, despite him interfering with a crime scene.
You went through her purse?
It wasn't like she needed it. I took a look.
Oh, man. And what I will say about this is, this here, this is actually truth. Believe it or not, it's actually truth. I can't believe it. I'm pretty sure this is truth. Let's see.
Did you take any money?
Wasn't any to take.
Good cop.
I found a lipstick in her matchbook over on the mat. Not much else.
I honestly can't believe it's that was good cop. The answer to that. If this was me, I would have lost my cool. Like, if this was me, I would have screamed, yelled at him. Like, usually I'm a pretty collected person. You don't yell. I'm pretty patient. But like, if I found out he did that, I probably would scream at him. Yeah. Discovery of victim's body.
You found the body?
Yes, I did. I work here. I was coming off shift and headed home.
My God, look, he's like, what the hell kind of expression is that? Okay, yes, I did. I work here. I was coming off shift and headed home. Let me see what accuse is.
You're lying, Jamison. I think you lured this poor woman out here and killed her.
You're crazy. What makes you say I killed her?
Looks like I made a mistake.
I think it's bad cop.
Why didn't you report the body, Jamison? Do you know how this is going to look to a jury?
A jury? What gives? I could tell that she was dead. I came through here about midnight last night. She wasn't here then.
Let me belt him again.
You're under arrest, Jamison. We'll see how this plays out. Until then, you can think a little on how you'd like to be treated if you were found dead.
I'm telling you, it's not illegal. Me and some friends of mine...
Clyde, you get this sack of shit into a cell. I'll deal with him later.
Sure, Rusty.
He gets arrested, by the way, for interfering with a crime scene and tampering with evidence.
Detective Phelps and Galloway, homicide. Can you tell me exactly what happened?
We were shutting cars over to the main line when I saw this man here lying on top of this woman. The woman wasn't moving and seemed to be in a bad way.
What time was this?
About 7:30 this morning, sir.
Thanks for your help. Have you given Patrolman Hart your details?
I have, sir.
Thank you. You can go now.
Yeah, if only every single person that we talked to, every witness, was as helpful and friendly as this guy. It's there's so many witnesses in this game that it's like even when they have nothing to hide, they're just lying to you and misinforming you.
Phelps, 1247.
How can I help, Detective?
I need an address on Levine's Liquor, closest store to the Santa Fe Avenue rail yard, if possible.
Just a moment, Detective. Closest store would be the one at 939 South Hope Street.
Thanks.
Wow, she's really quick. Without a computer, that she's able to look that up on a map that fast back then. Wow. She's good. Oh, let's take this car. Okay, the bar. Let's go there.
Read that those goddamn Chinese want to sell the relief food that we're sending them?
Yeah, I read about that.
Those people are starving. They can't do that.
Want to sell the food to fund the civil war against the communists.
Really? I guess that's okay then.
I guess that's okay.
Armies can't fight without food. You spend all your money on weapons, but you still have to have the will to fight. Fortunately, the Reds will win in China.
Watch your mouth. Know what you're saying?
The people of this country overruled me. You think the Chinese will balk at an emperor if they are starving?
Slow and steady, come on.
Yeah, I'm glad that they actually mentioned... I'm glad... I don't know if this is, copyrighted music, so I'm just gonna turn it off to be safe. I don't know if they mentioned the, I'm actually happy they mentioned the Chinese Civil War. The Chinese Civil War is actually going on this time period in the late 1940s. And the nationalists, the Kuomintang, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, they were losing badly at this point. And one of the reasons was because the communists had actually enlisted the aid of the farmers. A lot of the poor farmers were on the communist side. But a lot of these same farmers who ended up helping the communists, a lot of them ended up getting killed in the Great Leap Forward. Mao's Great Leap Forward that happened later on. So a lot of them probably did regret that they helped the communists. But about the Kuomintang, it was headed by Chiang Kai-shek, and one of the worst mistakes that Chiang Kai-shek made is that he made a coalition government with the communists, because one good thing that both the communists and the nationalists did is that they actually ended the Civil War for a couple years when the Japanese invaded. So when the Japanese invaded China, both the communists and the nationalists agreed to, put their differences aside and just for the good of China so that they could just drive off the invaders, the Japanese who were attacking their country. But one of Chiang Kai-shek's biggest mistakes, he's the leader of the nationalists, is that after the Chinese Civil War, he tried to make a coalition government with Mao Zedong, the leader of the Communist Party. And what happened? Mao betrayed Chiang Kai-shek. So a lot of people were warning Chiang that he was going to get betrayed, but he didn't think he was going to get betrayed. And Chiang Kai-shek was not a perfect person either. He was a dictator too. He did bad things as well. He did kill people too. But if you compare him to like Mao Zedong is so much worse than Chiang Kai-shek. Like Mao Zedong killed millions of people. But about Chiang Kai-shek is the Kuomintang party. They actually still exist today. They actually escaped when they knew that the war was lost in mainland China. They escaped mainland China and they actually went to Taiwan and they established the Republic of China in Taiwan. And that's why China tries to claim Taiwan today, and that's why Taiwan refers to itself as the true China. China doesn't recognize it. Taiwan is the original Chinese government. It's the descendants of the original Chinese government. It's the descendants of the Nationalist Party. And the Kuomintang still exists as a political party in Taiwan today. I don't think they're in power in Taiwan, but they still exist as a political party, and China does not recognize them at all. China basically has threatened any country that does business or deals with Taiwan. But here's the thing about Taiwan, is Taiwan was not a perfect country. It was a dictatorship. It was a nationalist dictatorship when it first formed. But the nationalists in the 1990s, the nationalists allowed free elections. And Taiwan stopped becoming a dictatorship, and it actually became a flourishing democracy, where the Communist Party in China never allowed free elections, and China to this day is still a dictatorship and a one-party state.
Phelps, Galloway, homicide. We need to ask you some questions concerning Evelyn Summers.
I'm Walter Mensch. Evelyn Summers, what is it now?
You knew Evelyn?
As well as I wanted to know Evelyn. She's a pain in the ass, always coming in here, cadging drinks, never had any money. She was in just a couple of nights ago.
Did she ever tell you where she was staying?
I don't know. I think she was living rough. She had that kind of stunk about her.
Who did she drink with?
A bunch of these guys. Ask around.
You a friend of Evelyn Summers?
Who's asking?
Very cute. You know who's asking.
I know my rights. You don't have any. Answer the question. Evelyn mooches for drinks. I don't have any time for that.
Was that so hard?
Keep writing me, copper.
Yeah, this guy has a criminal record because criminals typically say that word copper. So whenever you hear somebody say that, they typically have a criminal record. People that talk like that. Let me turn the music back on. Oh, no, don't want to restart. That would suck. Okay.
What's your name?
Grosvenor McCaffrey.
Mind if I ask you some questions, Mr. McCaffrey?
I'm just a starving writer, detective. What do you want to ask about?
Evelyn Summers, and why she was found beaten and strangled in the rail depot on Santa Fe.
Okay. I see your point.
How well did you know her?
I can't say that I knew her. It was more like I was aware of her.
This guy has a pretty, I would say this guy has a lot of intelligence also, because he was able to tell that Cole and Rusty were detectives when they walked in, so he was able to pay attention to them while reading at the same time too. So he said the detective before Cole even introduced himself. Known associate of murder victim Evelyn Summers. Okay, last contact with the victim.
Did you see Evelyn last night?
No, I was at home, writing.
He's a terrible liar. I'm gonna go bad cop.
Do you want to get dragged into this, McCaffrey? Do you want us to get interested in you?
She hung out with this powder puff, James Tiernan. They haunted the public library together.
How well do you know James Tiernan?
I know he works some kind of plebeian job at Rawlings Bowling Alley.
Rawlings. I know that place. Corner of 9th and Grand. A lot of cops bowl there on Tuesday nights.
Criminal history.
Do you have a criminal record, Mr. McCaffrey?
Nothing serious. I've had a few skirmishes.
Yeah, lying again.
Do you want to save me some time, or do you want me to look up your file?
Industrial disputes, strikes, workers' rights, that kind of thing.
A regular fifth columnist. Nice to meet you, comrade.
Thank you for the information, Mr. McCaffrey.
Is there anything back here that I can, Okay, no, there isn't. Oh, the bar, I can still go to it? Hang on. There's something I missed in the bar? There's a door under here, but I don't think it goes anywhere. Okay, I guess not. And also, when Rusty called McCaffrey a comrade, he basically is calling him a communist. Liquor store. Okay, let's go there. Downtown branch. And a lot of my videos have been getting copyright claims lately. That's why I'm just going crazy with the music, guys, because I don't want to get another copyright claim. I'm getting so sick of it.
What did you make of McCaffrey?
There'll come a day, and it's coming very soon. We'll run him and the rest of his pinko buddies out of Los Angeles.
I meant as a suspect, Rusty.
Levine's liquor store. Okay, let's turn the music back on.
What can I do for you?
LAPD, Phelps and Galloway. We're making inquiries into the murder of Evelyn Summers.
Evelyn? She's dead?
You knew Evelyn Summers, Mr.
Robbins. Yes, I knew Evelyn. I was a good friend of her ex-husband. She kept some of her stuff here.
Can you show us, please?
Sure. Come this way.
You got some fine stock here, Mr. Robbins. You know, you let us take some for the road, this case might get solved a lot quicker.
He's joking, Mr. Robbins.
She kept a bed here, but I probably shouldn't have let her. An alcoholic in a liquor store. That was never going to work out, was it?
Yeah, so
we'll take a look around.
This guy's got a good heart, I can tell, but it's a mistake letting an alcoholic sleep in the back of your store. I know he wants to create, like, help her not to be homeless, but she probably would, I would imagine, in the middle of the night would just get up and would just start, like, trying to open bottles and just drink them.
I'm guessing Evelyn hadn't held down a job for quite some time before she was killed.
When exactly did Evelyn work in the pictures?
A few years ago. She worked in legal copyrights for music.
Oh. Rawlings Bowling.
Rawlings Bowling Alley. Maybe Evelyn did something other than drink in her spare time.
Probably Evelyn and her mother.
She wasn't always such a loner. Evelyn was reading Aristotle?
Evelyn wasn't stupid. The only stupid thing about her was her need to drink.
And that is true, is just because somebody's an alcoholic doesn't make them an idiot. You would actually be surprised how many intelligent people are alcoholics. And it's the same for drug addicts. Drug addicts can actually be very intelligent people, but it's unfortunate the drugs and the alcohol just bring them down so much.
And she was borrowing books from Grosvenor McCaffrey.
McCaffrey's got some explaining to do right now. Inscribed Grosvenor McCaffrey, found amongst victims' personal effects. Contact with victim, liquor store owner and friend of victim Evelyn Summers. Contact with the victim.
We're trying to account for Evelyn's movements yesterday.
She came by in the morning.
A social visit to pick up some of her things?
She had a couple of bucks and bought a quart of rye.
That's alcohol, but... Can't tell if he's lying or not. I'll come back to this one whole relationship with victim.
Are you and Evelyn close, Mr. Robbins?
Not many people will be sad she's gone. I'll be one of the few.
That's definitely a truth. There's I don't sense any deception. It's the way he was actually generally said, and and it's also the tone of their voice. Notice how people talk about the tone of his voice gets lighter. Like he's just it just makes him depressed just hearing about this. So I don't think that this is a lie. Good cop. Let's see.
We got the impression that Evelyn had been sleeping rough of late.
It became difficult for me to have her staying here. Her mother was trying to get her back on the straight and narrow. She's old now. And to be honest, you have to have a good reason to want to get back on.
Knowledge of McCaffrey.
Do you know a friend of Evelyn's by the name of McCaffrey?
Not personally.
He is blinking a lot. He's looking away too. Hang on, let me list that.
Do you know a friend of Evelyn's by the name of McCaffrey?
Not personally.
I'm gonna go bad cop.
We're struggling for leads, Robbins. Did she know McCaffrey?
She idolized him. From what I gather, the feeling was far from mutual. He seems to peddle a revolutionary stance, fixing the ills of society. You could see how it would appeal to down-and-outs like Evelyn.
Contact with the victim.
We're trying to account for Evelyn's movements yesterday.
She came by in the morning.
A social visit to pick up some of her things?
She had a couple of bucks and bought a quart of rye.
Alright, good cop.
Any idea where the money came from?
Okay.
She didn't mention it, but she did say the booze was a present for a boy. She said they had been fighting and she had to make it up to him.
Thanks for your help, Mr. Robbins.
No problem. Hey, I'd like to make arrangements for the funeral. You think I could get in touch with Evelyn's mother?
Put in a call to the watch commander at Central Station, Mr. Robbins. He'll be trying to reach the next of kin.
Thanks.
So here's
the guy, huh? Evelyn never hurt anybody.
So here's the thing: is even the most disliked people, like this woman was an alcoholic, she was heavily disliked by people. Even the most disliked people have people that care about them. So a huge amount of people might dislike a person, but that person might still have somebody that cares about them. And so that's just a sad thing. A lot of people don't think about that. Is they don't think about the fact that even like the most hated people, disliked people, there's still somebody that cares about them. You can see that guy was pretty upset, and he had to have some kind of special relationship. I don't think it was like a romance or anything like that, but he did probably feel bad for her, which is why he let her sleep in the back. And also I will say he probably did a bad thing by selling her alcohol, but she probably would have gone somewhere else anyways. But yeah, it's a bad mistake. I know he was trying to help her out, but it's a bad mistake to let somebody who's an alcoholic sleep in the back of a liquor store. He should have just probably let her sleep in a room in his house instead of like in the liquor store, because that's a bad idea. Oh, and hold on one second here. I might actually be making a mistake. Let me see here. Okay, yeah. On this part, yeah, I was about to make the mistake. Oh, good thing I didn't. Okay, okay, where's the bar? Here. Okay, yeah. So basically is after you get the book from the place, do not go back to the police station, because if you go to the police station, it makes it impossible to get another piece of evidence. There's one piece of evidence that you cannot get when you actually go to the police station. So if you want to get all the evidences, you have to follow this order that I'm doing this case. And that's like I said, that's one of the worst things about LA Noire, is that certain parts of the game, when you go to certain locations, it cancels out other things that you can get, and that's one thing that I really hate. But yeah, people were warning me about this, that after you go to the liquor store, make sure you go back to the bar. I almost forgot about this. I was almost screwed myself there. Relationship with the victim. I like how he's just staring at us. He's wondering why we came back.
You guys got somewhere you need to be? You're ruining the ambiance.
Not even moving his mouth. I guess it's a glitch. Okay. Relationship with the victim.
You say you barely knew Evelyn?
Yes, that is correct.
Accused.
You're lying, McCaffrey. You looked down your nose at Evelyn, but you knew her, and you have some idea of what happened.
I hope you're holding aces. I'm telling you again, I barely knew the woman.
Inscribed Grosvenor McCaffrey, found amongst victim's personal effects.
Why would you lend her your book on metaphysics if you only knew her in passing? It was more than that. A Renaissance man like yourself, lending his books to his acolytes.
She hounded me about that goddamn book, and then she lifts it from my apartment and lies to my face that she didn't take it, as if she could even comprehend any of it. I saw her go into a hotel with Tiernan last night. They had booze in a paper bag. He's your man.
So that piece of evidence, victim last seen, you cannot get that piece of evidence if you go to the police station. If you go to the police station, McCaffrey will disappear from here, and you cannot get this piece of evidence again. Okay, let's go to the bowling alley right now. I haven't gone bowling in years.
Hello, Rusty. Two on your usual lane?
I'm Detective Phelps. Homicide.
You must be new. What's your shoe size?
This is business, Florence. You got a guy works here by the name of Tiernan?
Sure we do. He's a pin setter. Clears the jams, warps the gutters. Go right in. He'll be hopping around the lanes toward the back. He's a nice boy.
Thanks, ma'am. Let's go get him.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, 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 no. That's a no-no.
Tiernan! LAPD!
It looks like somebody thinks that they're a varsity athlete. Oh, come on, don't get in the car. No, come on, dude, don't. Oh, okay.
There!
What are you waiting for? Get after him!
We might go faster if we weren't carrying the extra weight.
Oh.
These are flashy cars to be parked outside a bowling alley.
The lanes attract a fast-living individual with money to burn, Cole.
Or a middle-aged individual with the need to feel virile.
I'll try to shoot out his tires. Wish me luck.
Whoa.
Another runner. At least we've got a suspect.
Why do they always run? I'm sure we've got the wrong person in more than one of these homicides, but they always seem to lam it.
You know, your theories are not airtight by any means, Phelps.
God damn! Show me your hands!
Looks like somebody's got some explaining to do. Okay, we're gonna take this car back. Central Police Station.
That's the cop from the newspapers.
The captain is downstairs with Ray Pinker and Carruthers.
Did you read about the woman who stabbed her husband?
Is somebody gonna tell us what the hell is going on?
What's this about, Captain?
Ray and Mal have some concerns over the Henry and Muller cases, which I don't want aired outside of this room.
The evidence is solid, Captain.
I agree, Rusty. It's just that corpses keep piling up.
Copycats.
I've been banging the same drum. But the notes and the lipstick messages.
Evelyn Summers, Cartel Classic Carmine. Each woman, same brand, same color.
Teresa Terrelson didn't have a lipstick message.
Technically, you're right, Rusty. She didn't have any lipstick, but she did have a message. We found it beneath her dress, scraped with a sharp stick.
What did it say?
You sure you want to know?
Ray?
As far as we can be sure, it said...
That's one way of looking at it.
Looking at what?
It's all about access, Phelps. You're married, so yours is mortgaged. Some of us like to pay by installments. This guy, Doesn't like to pay at all.
Why are you so angry, Mal?
Because I just had to fire one of my assistants. He was a friend of Jamison's. God knows what he might have been up to.
Captain, we have good leads in the Summers case, but it's up to you to decide how we proceed.
Keep this under your hat for now. And to follow up on Evelyn Summers, I want daily reports.
Also, guys, I know I censored the C word there, and I apologize for that, but I had to do it because YouTube is very sensitive to the C word, and it's every single time I have a character say that in any kind of game, the bot system for YouTube picks it up, and they either age restrict the video or they demonetize the video. So I had to do that. So I'm sorry about that, but that's that word. Every single time a character in the game says it. I remember my San Andreas videos got demonetized in the past, and I think age restricted because Kent Paul said it.
Operator, message for KGPL.
Putting you through now.
Phelps, badge 1247.
How can I help, Detective?
How can I help, Detective?
I need an address for a Grosvenor McCaffrey.
Grosvenor McCaffrey. Apartment 6, 126 Yale Street, between Ord and Alpine.
Thanks for your help.
Let me pose a question.
Depends. What's it got to do with?
Morals. Would it bother you to put the wrong person away?
Depends.
On what?
On whether anyone except the poor son of a bitch in the slammer ever found out.
Wow, what an answer, right? Yeah, this is probably becoming my favorite car so far. It's fast, agile. McCaffrey's apartment. Okay.
McCaffrey's in apartment 6.
I remember you had a Leon McCaffrey in GTA 3 and GTA Vice City, Liberty City Stories, who was a corrupt cop in Liberty City.
Doesn't look like anybody's home.
Terrible shame. Means there's nobody to let us in. You want to do the honors, Phelps?
Yeah, they can't do that. That's violating the Fourth Amendment. Oh, what do we got here? This is not looking good for McCaffrey right now.
He said he was at home. He said he didn't.
Rolling bowling. It's a tire iron from the bowling.
Carruthers argue his way out of this one.
This is definitely the murder weapon, this thing.
Is that you, Grosvenor? Who are you guys? What are you doing in here?
We're from the LAPD, ma'am. Do you know where we might find McCaffrey?
I'm his neighbor. Is he in trouble?
Look, lady, we need to find him, and in a hurry. Are you going to give me trouble?
He has a pigeon coop up on the roof. He spends his mornings up there when he's been drinking.
How do we get up there?
Down the hall and up the stairs.
Drunk and in command of a carrier pigeon. Surely we can write him up for that. A citation, at least.
Wow. This is looking really bad for McCaffrey, but this... Rolling bowling. This is from the bowling ring, too, though. Oh, take long before you are, healed, and you can come home. I have put your things back in your room with a, lock on the door for your privacy, and you can come and go as you please. I will care for you, and you can return to your normal life. I know your address has changed, so I cannot be sure this letter will find you, but I pray that it does, and that you consider what I've said. I love you very much, and I pray every night that you are safe, and that one day, you will knock on my door, and the rift between us will be mended. With love and understanding, your mother, Augusta Summers.
From the letter we found beside the body.
Mother's heart
At
has
the
been
very least,
broken.
I'd say it ties McCaffrey to the scene.
Don't think this is anything.
Fundamentals of critical theory. Guess everything then. Let's see if we can find McCaffrey. Okay, talk to her? No, I guess not. Okay.
See him? Saw his picture in the paper. Worked that case with a lady cut up like the Dahlia.
Grosvenor McCaffrey!
Oh, great. We got another varsity athlete here.
Sit down and we'll talk.
I'll go get our wheel.
You a runner, McCaffrey? Stay and fight the good fight.
There he is. See him?
Man, McCaffrey can run.
There he is, officer.
Was that the St. Jamison? Was that the guy at the start that I just saw?
Give it up, LAPD.
Looked like him.
Don't make me chase you. McCaffrey, you're under arrest on suspicion of murdering Evelyn Summers.
Looks like he doesn't have the makings of a varsity athlete.
We need to get downtown and wrap this thing up. It's got to be McCaffrey. Unless Tiernan set him up. You don't think that asshole Jamison could have done it, do you? Whoever did it. At least it wasn't that Dahlia fuck.
How do you know that McCaffrey didn't do the Dahlia?
We have a list of over 200 suspects. His name was never on it.
If you think the list is exhaustive, Rusty, who am I to argue?
Listen, let's just work the case at hand, shall we? Then we can sit down and put all the puzzle pieces together.
I'll hold you to that.
He thinks it's because McCaffrey's name's not on the suspect list that clears him. Man, what an ignorant view to have.
You sure you can make it stick with one of these suspects, gentlemen?
It's either McCaffrey or Tiernan, sir. I think Jamison is an aberration.
All right. I'll deal with that degraded lunatic myself. He's got some fearful retribution coming. Tiernan isn't one, McCaffrey isn't two. I want a confession from one of them. Don't fail me, young Phelps.
Now, about this part, this is what people have warned me about. Make sure you interview Tiernan first. Because Tiernan will give you certain evidence that can be used against McCaffrey.
Tiernan?
I was the last one to see Evelyn that night. I knew you would think it was me.
Okay. Relationship with victim.
Can you describe your relationship with Evelyn?
I barely knew Evelyn.
McCaffrey testifies seeing victim enter hotel of Tiernan on night of murder. Is this one? Yep.
Keep lying to me and I'll have you charged and in front of a grand jury before your feet touch the ground.
How can you possibly prove Evelyn and I were more than friends?
Victim last seen.
McCaffrey gave you up, Tiernan. He says he saw you go into your hotel with Evelyn.
I met Evelyn at the public library. We would read for a while and then go for a drink. Last night, we went back to my hotel room and had some more to drink. I must have passed out. I woke up and she was gone.
What time was this?
Around midnight, maybe later.
And there's no one who can confirm this?
No, there isn't. I knew you wouldn't believe me.
Victim's book found.
Aristotle's Metaphysics, the book that belonged to McCaffrey.
McCaffrey saw her looking at it once and laughed in her face.
And you're saying Evelyn stole it?
She wanted something of his.
Oh, I could have probably used this too. Liquor purchase with that. I'm gonna go bad cop.
We either hang this on you or McCaffrey. You better give us something.
Well, McCaffrey's been in trouble with the law before. I mean, he always makes out it was some kind of labor dispute, but, you know, I'm not so sure.
That's important, what he said. McCaffrey says it's a labor dispute, but I'm not so sure it's something else with the law. Alibi for James Tiernan.
You and Evelyn were drinking together last night, and she had no other place to stay.
I don't know what happened last night. I don't remember.
I think it's this one, the store owner, the liquor purchase. Let me see.
You're lying, Tiernan. You'd been fighting with her. You fought, and...
I'm not lying! She got up and left! That was it!
I say the liquor purchase. Let's see this.
She left, but she came back. She bought you a quart of whiskey to make it up to you. She told the liquor store owner. You're in deep trouble, buddy.
She said she loved me. She wanted to care for me. But she would never stop talking about McCaffrey. McCaffrey was a writer, and McCaffrey was a hero. McCaffrey cared for the little guy.
Did you kill her, Tiernan?
I might as well have. I kicked her out. She had nowhere to go.
That's why she was homeless. Because she was obsessed with McCaffrey and thought that McCaffrey cared about the working class, and McCaffrey actually hated her. And that was some really good acting also, by the way. Access to murder weapon.
Do you own a car, Tiernan?
No, I don't.
Have access to a lug wrench?
Well, we use a lot of them to clear jams in the pin setting machines.
Tire iron stained with blood. It had the bowling alley on logo on it too. Wonder what accused is.
I want the truth. I think you broke into McCaffrey's apartment and planted a lug wrench there.
I didn't do that, and there's no way you can prove any different.
Tire iron. Wonder if this is it.
As hard as this is for you to contemplate.
Damn. Okay, it's not it. I want to get this. I want to get this right, so I'm just gonna go back. Okay, it's not that. I know it was wrong because the noise I hear, but I thought it was the tire iron. I was doing really good. I thought it was the tire iron there because it had the bowling alley there, and when it said you could could have broken into his apartment and planted it there, and that actually makes sense. But don't you guys agree with me that, like, bringing up that the fact that the tire iron had, like, that same, like, bowling alley logo on it, doesn't that make sense, right? It does. So it's like, I should have been able to use that as evidence right there. So I guess it's bad cop then. Okay, let's try this here. But yeah, I was doing really good there. Damn. Okay.
You and Evelyn were drinking together last night, and she had no other place to stay.
I don't know what happened last night. I don't remember.
You're lying, Tiernan. You'd been fighting with her. You fought, and...
I'm not lying! She got up and left, that was it!
She left, but she came back. She bought you a quart of whiskey to make it up to you. She told the liquor store owner. You're in deep trouble, buddy.
She said she loved me. She wanted to care for me. But she would never stop talking about McCaffrey. McCaffrey was a writer, and McCaffrey was a hero. McCaffrey cared for the little guy.
Did you kill her, Tiernan?
I might as well have. I kicked her out. She had nowhere to go.
Do you own
Okay,
a car,
try this again.
Tiernan?
No, I don't.
Have access to a lug wrench?
No, we use a lot of them to clear jams in the pin setting machines.
He's scared. Yep, he's definitely nervous. Bad cop.
Coroner's report says that Evelyn was killed with a wrench. I think you did it and then planted the evidence at McCaffrey's apartment for us to find.
We went to his apartment. McCaffrey was up on the roof. Evelyn stole the book. McCaffrey went crazy when he found out. He said he would put her out of her misery. He can be very cruel.
And that's the evidence that we need, the Tiernan's accusations. So apparently that's what I need to do, is I need to do bad cop.
Evelyn was missing a ring from her right hand.
That's strange. She always wore it. Big black circular disc with a white E in the middle. It was made from an old typewriter key, a present from the prop department at our old movie studio.
We're going to talk to McCaffrey. You need to think about what you've told us, Tiernan. You're not in the clear.
I say we bust in there and find the goddamn evidence.
You ready to answer some questions?
You think I have all the answers?
People who run from the police usually have something to hide.
Touché, detective. Let's see where this takes us.
Okay, alibi for McCaffrey.
Evelyn died sometime around midnight. Remind me, where were you?
I was at home, writing. I'm working on a manuscript.
Let's try it.
You're lying, McCaffrey. You were out at the rail yard.
And what do you have that proves I was there?
The torn letter. Torn letter addressed to Evelyn. Pieces found in possession of victim and McCaffrey.
How about half of Augusta Summers' last correspondence with her daughter?
What are you talking about?
After you were done beating Evelyn, you searched her and found her mother's letter. That old lady's anguish amused you.
I know nothing about a letter or Evelyn's goddamn mother.
So what was it doing on your writing desk?
I don't know, but if I didn't put it there, somebody else did. Try exercising your powers of deduction on that.
Acts as a tire iron.
We found the lug wrench that Evelyn was battered with in your apartment, and the note from her mother, and your blood-stained clothing. We have you cold, McCaffrey.
You think if I could be bothered to murder Evelyn Summers, I would be stupid enough to leave the evidence in my apartment?
Accuse.
I don't believe you, Grosvenor. The evidence says that you killed her.
You can prove that I wanted to kill Evelyn?
This is the evidence that you get from Tiernan that you need to use here. Tiernan's accusation. Tiernan testifies to threats of violence against victim made by Grosvenor McCaffrey.
Tiernan is prepared to testify that you threatened Evelyn's life in his presence.
Self-preservation. That's understandable. Okay, I'll level with you. Tiernan killed Evelyn. He came to me for help. I listened to him, and he explained why he did it.
Tiernan went to you for help. You expect me to buy that?
That's how it went down. I told him he made a terrible mistake, but he would be throwing his life away if he went to the cops. I took his things
I don't believe
and told
this
him
at
I would
all.
dispose of them.
But you didn't.
Speak to Tiernan. He'll give it up.
The serial killer is extremely intelligent, and I would figure this guy's the serial killer. I would think that this is him, but I don't believe this guy at all. This guy's just a massive scumbag. And also about this guy is I know that if you don't come back and talk to him about the book, but you bring up the book to him actually later in the interview here about Evelyn stealing it, he actually, I know, gets really angry, and he will, scream at you, and he will basically say, I was livid, I hated her, and he'll call her, like, the B, and everything like that. And so this guy is a real piece of work. This guy's a real scumbag. He writes books talking about the struggles of the working class, but meanwhile, he looks at everyone as, like, below him, beneath him. And see, this guy's a total piece of crap. But here's the final piece of evidence. This is the secret piece of evidence that you get in this case. This evidence you can only get if you pretty much get every single question right. If you get every single question right, if you collect all the evidence, you can only get this at the very end. And this is basically the nail in the coffin for McCaffrey. But remember that criminal record that he said? This is basically it. A lot of people miss this. It's a secret piece of evidence.
Operator, message for KGPL.
Putting you through now.
Cole Phelps, badge 1247.
How can I help, Detective?
How could I help, Detective?
I need the jacket on a Grosvenor McCaffrey.
That means his record.
Just a moment, Detective. McCaffrey was formerly under surveillance by the Red Squad. Convictions for petty theft. Dishonorable discharge from the Army during training at Syracuse. Assault on a local woman. Says he almost beat the woman to death.
Thanks.
Yeah, the bum took a swipe at me. Put him down with my sap.
So look at that. See that? That's the final piece right there. McCaffrey's criminal record. McCaffrey previously charged with petty theft, assault, discharge from the military. So there was a woman who tried to... When McCaffrey was training, he was going to the military. And when he was training, some woman tried to steal from him. And when he caught the woman stealing from him, he nearly beat her to death. Like, he just kept hitting her and hitting her that he almost killed her. And if somebody's stealing from you, in most cases, you have the right to stop the theft. You have the right to get your property back. It depends on the state. You have the right to stop a person stealing from you in most places in America, but you don't have the right to, if the person's unarmed, especially, and they're not posing a physical threat to you, you cannot keep beating them. And so that's exactly what he did. He kept beating this woman repeatedly after she stole from him, and he got thrown in the military for that. Also, when they said that he was under surveillance from the Red Squad, what that basically is, that's McCarthy's people. McCarthy's people, they basically looked for suspected communists in the United States at this time. And McCaffrey is a communist. And that's actually why his name, McCaffrey, but McCarthy. McCarthy was the guy who was looking for communists, and McCaffrey is a communist here. So it's kind of, I guess, a reference to McCarthy. But basically, how McCarthy's organization worked, it's called the Red Squad in this game, that that's the people that they look for, but in real life it was called the House of Un-American Activities Commission. And the House of Un-American Activities Commission, it's a violation of the First Amendment, which is basically... the First Amendment is basically freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of religion. And so in America, you can associate with any kind of political party you want, even the Communist Party. So, the government can't really stop you from being a member of the Communist Party. And so what the House of Un-American Activities Committee did is that if somebody was a member of the Communist Party, they would actually spy on you, or what they would do is they would actually blacklist you. So the government would put you on this list specifically.
What are we waiting for?
Whenever you tried to get a job anywhere, if somebody was suspected of being a communist, if somebody tried to get a job anywhere, it would actually say that they were on that list. So when they would look up their record, it would say that they're on the list of being a suspected communist, and then that person wouldn't be able to get a job anywhere. They wouldn't be able to get a credit card. They wouldn't be able to open up a bank bank, or I would say get a loan from a bank. They wouldn't be able to purchase a house. It would just be very, very difficult for them. And so basically what the government did was the government said, oh, we're not violating the First Amendment, because if you want to be a communist, you can be a communist, but you can't, but we'll just blacklist you. But that's still, violating the person's, because that's basically kind of destroys the person's life. It destroys, their individual liberty. The government should not be getting involved in somebody's personal life. And that's one of the core things of American ideologies. The idea in America is that every single person has individual liberty, and the government does not have a right to interfere in your personal life. And by them doing something like that, they are very much violating your individual liberty. Even if the person is a communist, the government, in my opinion, does not have the right to do something like that to somebody. It's like completely blacklist them from from every single job, keep a record of them, spy on them, just for that. I'm not defending communists or anything like that. But I'm just saying it's just unconstitutional doing something like that. And the government does it today to an extent, too. They don't, blacklist people from jobs, but what they do is they do the Patriot Act, where if they suspect you of being a terrorist, they can just spy on you, they can follow you, they can put a device in your car that'll track you, they can listen on your phone, read your emails, search your house out with your permission without you even knowing that they were there. The government can do a lot of things, just basically violating the Constitution. But about the House of Un-American Activities Commission is, it was actually, or committee, I think it was House of committee and not commission. But about it is it accused thousands of innocent people. There was thousands of innocent people who were not communists at all that got accused. A lot of people that were actually in movies tended to get accused of being communists. It was also people who were involved in movies got accused typically of being communists. If you were also a human rights activist, you typically got accused of being a communist. And if you were actually possibly a gun rights activist, you could also be accused of being a communist, which I don't know how that makes sense, but that's basically how the government looked at it too. I don't know how being a human rights activist or a gun rights activist or being involved in movies makes you a potential communist, but that's basically the way the government looked at it. It was just the whole thing was just stupid and dumb. And basically the Eisenhower was the president who finally ended it. He finally ended it in the 50s. He basically said, no more of this. This is over. And the reason that Eisenhower ended it is because Eisenhower got pissed because Eisenhower was a pretty straightforward guy, and he hated behavior like that. And what McCarthy was doing is McCarthy was accusing political opponents. So anybody who did not agree with McCarthy would basically accuse them of being a communist. And so a lot of McCarthy's political opponents constantly kept getting blacklisted as being suspected communists. And what ended up happening is Eisenhower basically told McCarthy, you gotta stop this is getting out of control. And what McCarthy basically did was he started accusing people in Eisenhower's cabinet of being communists. So imagine the president of the United States, literally and the president of the United States, who is Eisenhower, who just absolutely hates communists. Eisenhower despised communists. Somebody like Eisenhower was getting accused of being a communist, and also his administration. At that point, Eisenhower basically said, no, enough of this. This has gone on too far. This is just stupid. And he basically disbanded the whole thing, and it was pretty much over at that point. But that was basically how stupid it got. It got completely out of control, these false communist accusations. And really, when you think about it, the House of Un-American Activities Committee was really the first form of cancel culture. It really was, when you think about it. Today we have cancel culture, but that was really the first form of cancel culture. It was accusing people falsely without proof of them being communists and basically destroying their lives. It's very similar today, where you have people are constantly accused of something they didn't do. They basically have their lives ruined. They get canceled for ridiculous things. Somebody might have said something bad 10 years ago, but then they change their mind. They're a completely different person. And then somebody digs up something that somebody said 10 years ago, and basically says, oh, this person said this 10 years ago. They're a bad person, and they try to get them fired from their job, destroy their life. So to an extent, it still does happen today. People change. People are not always the crappy people that they are, and I don't think a mistake that somebody made 10 years ago saying something, bad, that should get them canceled and their life destroyed for that.
You spoken to McCaffrey? I can go? It's all been cleared up?
Not quite. We have one more question we need to ask, James. Then I think we will be done.
Sure. Go ahead.
Events prior to the murder. Okay, here we go.
So Evelyn passed out, and you walked out. What happened next?
I woke up in the morning, very hungover. I thought Evelyn would have come back.
I know you're lying, James. You went out looking for her. Tell me what really happened.
I don't know what you're talking about. How can you say I wasn't in that hotel room?
McCaffrey's accusation, let's see. McCaffrey testifies Tiernan confessing and asking for help disposing of evidence. Let's see this. I think this is it.
You wound up at McCaffrey's. You were still incredibly drunk. You passed out on his floor. It's time to tell me what really happened.
McCaffrey woke me up the next morning, and he showed me the lug wrench and the letter and the box, and he said I came in with him last night. He said that I killed Evelyn, and that it was all over the radio, and that he would protect me. And I don't know, Detective, for the life of me, I can't remember a goddamn thing. And I was angry with her. Really angry. I could have done it. It wasn't me.
That was really good acting. And so that's the final clue that you use. A lot of people miss this in this case. But basically, you have to decide who to charge, McCaffrey or Tiernan here. And also, for people, anybody in the comments, don't spoil it. For anybody that knows the answer, please don't spoil it, because a lot of people that are watching this series have never, don't know the answer. But tell me in the comments, who do you think is guilty? Who do you think did it? Tiernan is passed out. He claimed that McCaffrey called him, showed him the wrench, told him that he did it. Like, and then now he's saying, I don't know, I was passed out, I was angry with her, I don't know what happened last night. And also, people that are also, this actually happens in real life, where people will pass out in situations and they'll wonder, could I have done it? Could I have really done something like that? They'll start to question themselves. So situations like this do happen in real life. But just let me know in the comments who do you think did it. But if you know the answer, don't spoil it. Like I said, if you just don't know, just tell me who you think did it. I'm really curious what the chat thinks or the comments. And now I go to McCaffrey here. Military service.
You were in the war?
Yes, I was. Seeing the things that I saw, it changes a man.
Full of
I
crap.
came back here determined to change things.
He
All
never
I
went to
wanted
combat.
was a pen and an opportunity to speak out.
You told us before that you had only minor run-ins with the police. You didn't mention petty theft.
I've never been in trouble for violence. That's the salient point here, isn't it?
Nope. You have been in trouble with violence. You almost beat somebody to death.
You're lying, McCaffrey. You have a history of violence towards women.
How do you turn a couple parking tickets and a petty theft misdemeanor into an assault charge?
McCaffrey previously charged a petty theft assault discharged from the military.
We know all about you and your dishonorable discharge. Beating some poor woman near to death in Syracuse. You've never been in combat, McCaffrey. Your whole life is a fraud.
She was a goddamn peasant whore. She tried to steal from my wallet. I could have fought for this country. I could have.
You beat her because she stole from you. Because she tried to outsmart you.
The ignorant audacity of the bitch. What is a man supposed to do? Sit there and take it?
Now you see the real McCaffrey.
How's a man supposed to call himself a man?
And Evelyn Summers, a poor, drunken nobody, stole your book.
And she got what was coming to her.
That is pretty much it. That is literally for me the nail in the coffin for McCaffrey at this point. He's done, and and also I will explain also the part of McCaffrey meeting with Tiernan on the next part. I'll go into that more because it is explained a little bit later. But my theory personally is that he was trying to frame Tiernan. That's what I think. I think that he hated him also for stealing the book, and he was trying to frame him. That's what I think. He knew the police would eventually be on the trail, and he's a pretty intelligent guy. I would say he has a pretty high IQ. And so he knew the police would eventually come to him. They would find him at the bar. He probably stayed at the bar because he knew the police were probably going to be there. And he pointed the police right in the direction of Tiernan. You have to remember that too. So I don't think that Tiernan is a murderer. Charging the suspect, charging him. Yep. He's gonna have to answer for this.
Grosvenor McCaffrey, I'm charging you with the murder of Evelyn Summers. She was a sad lady who never hurt anyone except herself. I hope God finds a way to forgive you.
Congratulations, boys. You bagged the fine catch. Another red to boot. Grand. Now, I want you to put this business about a repeat offender out of your mind. This McCaffrey creature shows no remorse, and neither will the grand jury. You would have to walk a long mile to find a better candidate for an unmarked plot in the prison graveyard.
Grosvenor McCaffrey can write a tell-all memoir from his cell on death row.
We have lost most of Shaughnessy and Dunn's squad. The gunny is dead, first platoon is in worse shape. That medic is either crazy or the bravest man alive.
Then we rally with the first and try for the Nambus.
It's sheer to the left. To the right, it goes right through a pass with 2 Nambus and enfilade.
Mate,
we can lose everyone.
Lieutenant, get back off this fucking bridge. They'll start walking the mortars back to their own positions. We only have minutes. I'm in charge here, Sergeant. Get your men off the bridge, Lieutenant. What's your unit, Sergeant? We don't have time for this, Lieutenant. What's your unit, Sergeant? I company 22nd Marines, Lieutenant, and we just saved your ass by fording the river. My orders are to reconnoiter the... I think that point is now moot. You have 10 men left. My orders are to save what's left. Move out!
Yeah, a leader that cannot make up his mind, especially in a very dangerous situation like that, is a really bad leader. That bridge makes them extremely exposed. But this is from Santos's channel. I will link Santos's channel down below so you guys can check it out. He has all the World War II cutscenes on here. But yeah, I'm sorry, I accidentally skipped the cutscene again, and it's just the World War II cutscenes appear after the case is finished. And I end the case there, and I forget that there's sometimes a cutscene right after that scene. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this part. I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.